A Jew is marooned on a desert island for many, many years. A ship comes along and rescues him. The captain says, "How in the world did you survive all this time? Can I look around?" The Jew says, "Sure." They go for a walk. They come upon two ornate buildings, and the captain says, "What are those?" The Jew says, "Those are the synagogues that I built." He said, "Why two?" He said, "Well, that's where I pray, and this one I wouldn't be caught dead in."
Well, they say the old ones are the best.
Yeah, but like a lot of old jokes, there's an element of truth in it. Mind you, if the Board of Deputies had been involved, we'd have had deputies from both the synagogues on the board, and they would have had the occasional row as well.
No, debate.
Oh, yes. Polite disagreement.
I'm a deputy because I passionately believe in the vital work of the Board of Deputies.
I arrived to this hospitable country as an asylum seeker. I know firsthand what it means for basic human rights of a practicing Jew to be compromised.
It's a privilege to be able to stick my hand up, make my voice heard, and give my opinion on what I think we should do in a very ethical way.
It's important for me to raise awareness amongst the Welsh people and to let them know that the board is not London-centric.
It's a way of making a contribution in a very meaningful fashion.
The Board of Deputies is a democratic organisation that represents the whole community on a range of issues, and without it the Jewish community wouldn't really have a voice.
And it's precisely because of this democratic structure that we have the authority to speak for the community, to government, to the media and to other faith groups.
Yeah, and we see this is recognised by them, that when they're talking to us, they're talking to the whole community and not just a section of it.
For us as the Church of England, it's really important, this relationship with the Board of Deputies. It's important because the Board of Deputies is a body which is elected, which speaks for the community, but it's also important because the Board of Deputies is resourced for the relationship, not just at a high level, but also at a level of projects, of grassroots. That's really important for us.
Interfaith is a huge part of what we do here at the board. It's really simple. We get people together from different faiths. How many of you have never been inside a synagogue before? We get them talking, we get them interacting, we get them working on sustainable projects long term.
Is that normal to have a lit near to mid?
If you have interfaith dialogue and you get to know people in other traditions, when there is an issue, you can look at a solution together.
What has to be important for a wholesome relationship is that we see ourselves in generous communion with other people. That can only be the right way to view those of other faiths.
Our association with the Board of Deputies has been through work that we did with Muslim communities. I'm from a Muslim perspective, but the board has been absolutely fantastic about coming together on issues which are jointly related to Muslims and Jews.
As Rabbi Hugo Gryn said, I don't want to live in a society where I don't know who my neighbour is.
One of our jobs is to build strong local communities, and part of that is making sure that people understand Jews and we're part of that local community.
We're studying GCSE Judaism. We've had a look around the synagogue and we had a look at the Torah scrolls, and then we talked to a Holocaust survivor.
In 1933 they came and they started to persecute.
It's very educational and somewhat inspiring as well.
It's one thing learning about the Holocaust in history, but hearing it from somebody who actually went through it is something else really. It's quite moving.
Although we live in a society which is basically tolerant and every political party guarantees the right of freedom of practice, of freedom of religion, there is a continual assault on various Jewish practices. And Shechita is a prime example. It is being attacked and we have to defend it.
Food labelling, there's a really good idea. But we invented it. It's called a hechsher. We've been labelling our food for centuries, and we don't need members of the European Parliament to tell us that we should be labelling our food. However, if the members of the European Parliament are insisting that food prepared by Jews or Muslims should be labelled, then so too should consumers have the right to know that the chicken they are about to eat was gassed, electrocuted, drowned, clubbed or shot. You can't have one rule for the Jews and one rule for everybody else. We made this clear to members of the European Parliament. The proposal was dropped.
Well, like Shechita UK, we have a problem with Brit Milah. And that problem is the attacks that are coming in the press from various groups on the very core practice of Brit Milah. And we need to do something about it.
So we've been instrumental in forming a Milah UK.
When we raise things like circumcision, they don't understand the language that we actually are using. Milah UK will help them understand.
We've got a serious problem at the moment with some very bigoted interest groups who are completely intolerant of anything to do with Israel.
When Israel comes under attack, British Jewry take it personally because they know how much Israel has to offer the rest of the world and particularly to British society. The Board of Deputies will respond on every level. At the top level, be meetings with the Foreign and Commonwealth Office or with MEPs in the European Parliament or even with ambassadors of the Court of St James. At the grassroots level, which is equally important, we have our deputies who are ambassadors and who can multiply our message. And that can be whether they're standing outside the CoOp handing out leaflets or they're signing a petition for the European Parliament.
The CoOp is the first supermarket in the UK to ban Israeli companies who are sourcing some of their goods from the settlements.
So we staged a protest outside the CoOp's headquarters against their policy of boycotting Israeli companies. But we decided that direct action needed some sort of punch, a splash, so to speak. So we decided that, unfortunately I would go and dress up as a giant Jaffa orange outside their headquarters. So I had the option of going as a grape, a pineapple or an orange. I chose the orange. And it certainly made a splash because the CoOp senior management team actually came down, inquired as to what we were doing and then offered us a meeting inside. And we waited about 3 months for a meeting at this point. So this sort of direct action led by the board, including the community, clearly does have an important impact.
I think one of the flagship things the Board of Deputies do is support Pakura. Pakura means development, and what it does is look at how can we improve the standards of Jewish education within our schools.
Well over half of all Jewish children now attend Jewish schools. I think the figure's something like 60%, but it could be more.
And the result is that Anglo Jewry will have new generations of Jews who are knowledgeable, committed and proud to be Jews.
In Mill Hill, where I'm a deputy, we set up a new type of school, and the board were immensely helpful in opening doors to government in order that we could have the discussions we needed to as to how Judaism and faith would work within the school curriculum.
Not only do we need young Jews to know about Judaism, we need them to be freed to practice it, which means that when there's a clash between examinations and the Chagim, for example, we need one address. The board is that address, and it works.
My name is Roma Cohen. I'm a lecturer from Leeds in the Further Education College. The problem I had this year, for the first time, was not being able to take the days off for the Jewish holidays that I needed to. For me personally and for my family, it was something that I wouldn't be able to consider. It was a concern to me how my relationship with my employers would be, but I would have had to have dealt with that afterwards. At that point, I was getting quite panicky, if you like, a bit desperate to know where to turn to. And then somewhere in the back of my mind, I thought about the Board of Deputies, so I sent an email.
Ultimately, there is no legal obligation for your employer to give you that time off, and that's where the board can step in and explain in a diplomatic and firm way exactly how the situation lies.
It was agreed that they would send a letter to my line manager. They did assure me that it would be very light and not too heavy-handed, which is what I was quite concerned about. Shortly after that, perhaps 3 or 4 days, I got an email from my line manager to say that it has been decided that I would be allowed to take the days off without pay, which is fine. That's all I needed, the days off.
Often employers don't understand what's in the nature of a Jewish festival and why it would be difficult to work on that day. And once we've cleared that up, it's normally fine. It's just a case of clearing a misunderstanding. So
when I have friends or colleagues saying to me, how do I overcome this? I can say, well, go to the Board of Deputies, they'll help you. And I would feel comfortable in doing that. I would hope the board would as well.
The Board of Deputies is involved with every aspect of the Jewish life cycle. We start off with the preservation of Brit Milah for Jewish baby boys. We then move on to education and the government work with the education that we do. When you get married, it's the Board of Deputies that organises the Secretary of Marriages for you. During married life and otherwise, you'll have the preservation of Shechita. And even when you're dead, the Board of Deputies is still there for you, because recently the government transferred the title to several disused Jewish cemeteries so that we have the responsibility for maintaining and preserving the graves of our ancestors.
The Board of Deputies plays an essential role in maintaining an environment in which the Jewish community can flourish.
Our role is really shamor v'zachor, to keep and to remember. On the one hand, we've got the negative role, to protect Jewish practices and to protect Jews. On the other hand, the positive role, to encourage them and to encourage Jewish life. There's a huge range of Jewish belief and practice in our community, from the ultra-Orthodox to the secular. We're not concerned with which kind of Judaism you choose to practice, but what we care passionately about and what we are totally dedicated to is that you should have the freedom to choose.